This CyCast is provided to you by the Iowa State Letter Winners Club, bridging the gap between legend and legacy by engaging in our past to invest in our future.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to our CyCast. We have a special guest today. It is Denny Mazur, who is headed into the Iowa State Athletics Hall of Fame. Great NCAA champion gymnast, both individually and representing the Cyclones and helping them win a team title. So, Dennis, thanks for taking the time today. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Tell me about your reaction when Jamie Pollard gave you the news that you're going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Well, of course, surprised. I like, what are you talking about? And I know that I watched the telecast or the podcasts that come up, every now and then with the athletes that are put in the Hall of Fame. And, so I was familiar with that. But then when they called me and said, you're in there, I go, holy cow. I go, that's unbelievable. So, yeah, I was very surprised.
Well, and you join a long list of gymnasts that are in the Iowa State Athletics Hall of Fame. It's really impressive how many great gymnasts came through this university.
Yeah, I know all of the ones that have gone in there and future ones to come. All a bunch of great guys. Yeah.
Do you still stay in communication with those guys? Do you still have a relationship with them?
I see them on occasion. Again, I was a gymnastics coach all my life for 35 years. I was a head coach of a high school team, and a number of my teammates and people were our coaches also in around the Chicagoland area. So we would see them at other meets or contests or state competitions and stuff like that. So I saw a number of them, sure.
Denny, tell me about how you started participating in gymnastics. What was it you liked about it?
Well, for me, it was I was a young, probably right around junior high, and there's no such thing as gymnastics for younger kids back then. You just started when you were in high school, unlike today where they start when they're real young. But I did have a friend that was must have been 4 or 5, maybe even 6 years older than me, and he was a gymnast at my high school, Maine East in Park Ridge, and he had rings in a high bar in his backyard. His dad put up there, and I'd go over there as a junior high kid, and he'd show me a couple things, and I'd play around, and I kind of looked up to him because he was a little older than me, and he was strong, he had these muscles and this body, and go, God, I'd love to be like that, So I started playing around with it, and then in junior high, in gym class they would have rings and P-bars and stuff, and I was pretty good at that. So I got interested, and when I got to high school, I said, well, that's what I'm going to try. But it was like just my freshman year, I'm going to try gymnastics, but nothing before that, not like nowadays.
Was there a point, as you noticed that you were getting better and better at it, that you felt like, hey, maybe I could do this collegiately?
Yeah, as I was in high school, I had always been a kind of a bodybuild type guy. I always did a lot of lifting and a lot of strength stuff, and I loved dips and pull-ups, and it was really adapted to gymnastics really well. And as a freshman in high school, I picked up things really quick. I was strong, and I actually made varsity my freshman year, and then continued just getting better each year. And I could tell that this is something I really want to do. So by the time I was a junior, and so sophomore, junior, and senior, I definitely knew I wanted to continue doing this.
Well, in 1968, you won the Illinois High School all-around title at Maine East High School, as you mentioned, in the Chicago area.
Yep.
Was that when your recruitment started to pick up a little bit, and how'd you end up at Iowa State?
Well, I actually, believe it or not, when like I told you, I got pretty good early, and my sophomore year, I started getting letters from places, and I'm going, holy cow, why are they sending me a letter? Only a sophomore, and they thought I was, junior or senior. But then as the years went on, by the time I was a junior, then I was really getting not letters from just small schools, but from big schools. And then, of course, by my senior year, all the big schools were looking, sending me letters and stuff. But the main thing was that two things. I had a teammate that was from Maine East that went to Iowa State. He was, again, 3 or 4 years ahead of me. He would come back to Maine East and kind of work out with us on the weekends and on break time during spring and summer breaks. And then his name was Bill Bolton. And I started looking at, Iowa State just because he would talk about it all the time and how good the team was and how good the coach was. And so that was kind of like my first, introduction to Iowa State.
And you came to Iowa State at the beginning of the Ed Gagne gymnastics dynasty.
Right.
What was it about Coach Gagne that made him such a huge success?
Well, that was the reason I went there. Coach Gagne was probably the most personable and just the kind of guy that you want to work for. The kind of guy you would do things and he would praise you or give you a comment of what you're doing, and you want to work for him, and you didn't want to upset him, or you didn't want to how do I want to say it, let him down.
Sure.
He was such a motivator. He's the best motivator I think I've ever had.
Wonderful man, no question about that.
No doubt.
What was it that made you gravitate toward parallel bars? I mentioned you were all-around champ in the state of Illinois, so you could do everything, but that was the event where you had the most success. And tell me about some of the challenges of parallel bars as well.
Well, it's just like any event. It's an event that it's hard. For some reason, I picked it up and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed high bar rings also, but somewhere along my senior year. Before my senior year, I had hurt my back, and it was making it hard to do rings, and I had a hard time doing the Florex and stuff like that. So I put a little more time in on parallel bars, and I just knew that I had to focus more on that than rings because my back was bothering me. But I was able to do P-bars without it hurting. So that's kind of like where I ended up focusing a little bit more on that event than anything else.
So 1971, you won your first Big 8 championship on parallel bars and helped the team win its first ever NCAA title. Tell me about how rewarding that was for the team, especially after finishing runner-up the season before.
Well, my 4 years there, I always say we were third my freshman year, and we were second my sophomore year. We won it my junior year, and then we were second my senior year. So we were in the top 3 in the nation all 4 of my years. Again, probably the most disappointing year was our sophomore year, where we ended up taking second, and we were almost, we were in the mix. We were probably one of the favorites to win it, and we lost by just a little bit. And if you look at the award stand, we always kidded each other, all the teammates, and when we look at the award stand, you'd see the first place team, and you saw the second place team, and normally you'd be, pretty excited to be second place, but the picture tells it all, because everybody's like, their heads down, they're kind of moping because we took second. And that was probably a really down thing that I think all of us felt when we didn't win it our sophomore year. So it gave us a little more encouragement to come back junior year and win it all.
Well, that team in 1971 has to be one of the best teams in the history of Iowa State gymnastics. It was loaded with talent, including Hall of Famer Brett Simmons, who won the Nissen Award as the nation's best collegiate gymnast. What was it like to compete with Brent and so many other elite gymnasts?
Well, that was another reason why I went to Iowa State. Aside from Coach Gagne, as I visited the school, I fell in love with the campus, because it was, it's not was like in a great big city. It has its like own little city. Just really, really nice to have that. And some of the people that I met when I was there, they were a year ahead of me, but Brent Simmons and Dave Butzman, 2 of the all-rounders that were ahead of me, and those 2 guys were probably the main reason I ended up going to Iowa State, aside from Coach Gagne, because I knew that what was ahead of me, the people that were with me, I'd be working with, would be guys that would encourage me and be somebody that I could compete with and against to make me better.
Let's take you to your senior year, and that had to be a very magical year for you, 1972, because Hilton Coliseum's in its first year of existence. And they host the NCAA championships, and you go out in style, winning the national title on parallel bars right there in Hilton Coliseum. That had to be about the perfect way to end your career. Tell me about that experience.
Well, no doubt about it. First of all, that I think we might have gotten in a couple dual meets in that Coliseum right before Nationals came around. So we had a little bit of experience being in the Coliseum. It was familiar to us because we got a couple of the meets that we hosted in there. So once we got there, I think that helped us because we were, and me too, we were familiar with the place. Again, I competed there and I ended up winning it there. And actually being the first team, I think we were the first team ever in that stadium to win a national championship.
Tell me about the satisfaction and just the feeling of, you put in all that hard work over all those years, even going back to when you first fell in love with the sport, all the way through high school and into college. And the ultimate was to be right there as the NCAA champion. How rewarding was it to feel like, hey, that was all worth it?
Exactly. Well, I think one of the main things is that when, as a sophomore, I was an All-American, and then my junior year I had an off year because I messed up, and then coming back senior year again All-American. But that was, the national championship itself. I think that's something everybody strives for. You could be a Big 8 champion, you could be a conference champion, and all the way down the line, but an All-American. But the number one is the pinnacle, is being a national champion. So, to win that was like the pinnacle of everything I had been doing. That overtook the state championships in high school and all the invites and all the things that happened before then. So that was the final thing.
Well, one of the neat things about your career is that you were an individual NCAA champion. You were also a team NCAA champion. And gymnastics is maybe a little bit unique in that you are out there by yourself at all times. And yet there is a team aspect to the sport. How much did you enjoy the team aspect of gymnastics?
Oh, well, we had the great team, and we were like a family, we did things together, not just in the gym, but out of the gym. And we hung around together. 4 of us actually lived together in our own apartment all 4 years, right across the street from the gym. But like I said, we were a family and we did things in and out of the gym together. So when we competed together, it wasn't like you were, it was a stranger. Everybody there was pulling for each other, and when someone would come off the event, we'd be there to cheer them on. And same thing with when I competed, everybody would be out on the floor, greeting me. So, just a real camaraderie between all the guys on the team, and of course the coach, was the main thing that held us all together.
Well, and after your career ended, you continued on with gymnastics as a coach and educator. How much satisfaction did you get from the teaching and coaching aspect and helping to grow the sport a little bit?
Well, that's kind of what, as you finish up and you're done competing, then the next thing I'm thinking about is that, hey, can I get some of these kids to, do what I did, or to get close to what I did, or to at least have some of the success I did. So as you're competing, you're coaching, you're trying to get those kids to be as successful as possible. So, and that's what I was doing. I had kids that every year would, accomplish what the best they could do, and that was the most satisfying thing. Yeah.
Well, we're really excited to have you come back in September to be inducted into the Iowa State Athletics Hall of Fame. What are you looking forward to about coming back on campus and that weekend in September?
Well, just first of all, coming back, I hadn't been there in a long, long time. My wife has never been there, so to see what I did, where I was doing my things, would be nice for her to see, and just to see the changes. I think too. I think I've looked online and I've gotten all the advertisements and all the things that come through when you send out stuff, but it's not the same as going and actually being there and seeing everything again.
But I see you wearing your Iowa State logo shirt there. Yeah, absolutely. So you obviously still take a lot of pride in being a Cyclone.
Yeah, and looking forward to seeing Coach Gagne too. I think that would be something that really enjoy seeing him again.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to having you here, Denny. Thanks so much for taking the time today. Really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.